group of mates were having a beer at the Alphington Hotel. Amongst the group was a Mr. Lionel Pepper, who at that time raised the submission that the group considered the possibility of forming a football club. Agreeing with Mr. Pepper's suggestion was a Mr. Les Hanger, who subsequently called for a meeting to be held to determine the level of support and commitment towards this idea. An invitation was posted among the Fairfield and Alphington areas, inviting all interested parties wishing to assist in the formation of a new football club to attend. It was to be held at the home of Mr. Reg Watson in Gilly Street, Fairfield, on the 19th of January at 6 p.m. The meeting was attended by 13 people, and they included Mr. Frank Aston, Mr. Morris Isaacs, Mr. Horry Girdwood, Mr. Stan Panther, Mr. Jack Reynolds, Mr. Jack Smythe, Mr. Reg Watson, Mr. Frank Mariner, Mr. Les Hanson, Mr. Lionel Pepper, Mr. Willis Stutchbury, Mr. Harry Smith, and Mr. Jack Woods. The first item on the agenda was to determine if there was enough commitment and passion amongst the group to found a club. With overwhelming support amongst all attendees, the meeting then focused on forming an identity, establishing a structure, and locating a playing venue. The following outcomes were then decided that the playing venue to be sought after would be Pitcher Park, as this ground had no club linked to it. The first president would be Reg Trigg. The football club would be called Parkside. The name chosen because Pitcher Park was located centrally in the Alphington Parklands, which extended to Bell Street. The club colours would be red and white. The original Parkside jumper was all red with a white collar and cuffs. No logo was presented, and the club was to be known only as Parkside Football Club. The first coach, Mr. Charlie Laxton, was appointed. The first captain, Mr. Reg Watson, was also appointed. This meeting, on January 19th, 1934, had formed a structure and foundation, which was the birth of the Parkside Football Club. The next objective was to find a competition to play in. The Victorian Amateur Football Association was the preferred option, but the VAFA was an extremely difficult competition to break into. It was decided by late February that the Parkside Football Club would be represented in the Churches Football League, in which it competed from 1934 to 1937. In 1936, Parkside won its first premiership, as well as the following year in 1937. In 1938, the Parkside Football Club was accepted into the Victorian Amateur Football Association. The logo PFC was introduced to the football jumper in 1935. Following the disbandment of the committee due to the Second World War, Charlie Laxton, Frank Jones, Roy Pauling and Harry Smith ensured that Parkside would continue to compete throughout this era. The next Parkside Football Club committee was formed in 1945 with Lionel Pepper elected president. Parkside Football Club's first senior grade premiership in the VAFA was won in 1954. The score was Parkside 15-19-109, defeating Old Severians 8-12-60. In 1959, Parkside became known as the Devils, a name introduced by Brian Lauder. Parkside has also won premierships in the senior grade competition in the VAFA in 1963, 1972, 1982 and 1988. In 1988, an historical achievement was realised, with the Parkside Football Club receiving promotion to A grade in the VAFA. In 2003, Parkside Football Club joined the Diamond Valley Football League, now known as the Northern Football League. Rich in history and tradition, priding on its values and culture, today we celebrate 75 years of the Parkside Football Club.